Welcome everybody to this webinar where we're going to be looking into how Amazon delivery service partners can control their long-term insurance costs. We've got a number of experts in the room that will give us a number of tips on how to control all the elements that lead up to generating costs for fleets. Of course, mostly focused in the insurance side of things, but we'll probably talk about a number of related areas. But you're not here to hear me talk, so without further ado, we'll kick things off. We've got a panel of experts. It sounds odd to say that when you're the first on that slide, but I'm Antton, Pena, the founder of Blog. I spend a lot of time talking to fleets like you, to brokers. We've got a large panel of about 120 brokers. So if you want to continue the conversation after today, my digital doors are always open. You can find me on LinkedIn or on email, which is not hard to get. So, that's me. We also have Ben Allen, who is our very own Flux Senior Risk Manager. Ben, you spend a lot of time talking to fleets and helping them with their safety. Give us a couple of lines on how you do that.
Thanks, Antton, and a pleasure to be here speaking with you today. I think it's fair to say at Flock, we're not just a month one, collect your premium insurer and then say goodbye in month 12. I think we do a lot to directly engage with our clients, especially in the Amazon world. So I hold virtual safety review sessions for Amazon DSPs, either monthly or quarterly, whatever would suit you, for half an hour, where we assist you and educate you on how to manage your risk and reduce your costs, both operationally and financially, through things like reporting claims quicker and having less accidents to reduce all of your costs.
Thank you, Ben. We also have Paul Rodney, Managing Director of Panam Logistic Solutions. Paul, really, really good to have you here. Help us understand who Panam are and what you do.
Okay, Caswell, Antton. So I work on the Amazon 2.0 contract. Been with Amazon since 2019. I was one of the first 16 that came on to the beta program. And we deliver the last mile service within Leeds, West Yorkshire.
Fantastic, thank you. And finally, we've got Callum Fransen, Broking Director from HRIB, Hamilton Robertson Insurance Brokers. Callum, what do you do and how do you work with fleets other than just trying to get them great premiums?
Yes, firstly, thanks for having us. Really good to be part of this today and hopefully share some valuable tips with you all. HRIB are a specialist insurance broker. We work alongside Flock and many other partners in the industry. Our focus is around logistics and the delivery sector. And really and truly, what we aim to do is provide our customers with a one-stop shop where they can come for claims, risk management, and ultimately a place where they can secure the future of their business.
Thank you, Callum. So let's get going. Before we jump onto discussion, I just wanted to make sure that we covered some of the basics that define insurance pricing. We're not going to get into the nitty-gritty of how every single algorithm works, but I think it is important for everyone on the call to understand that insurance premiums are defined and there's a clear link to claims costs. The higher those claims costs are, the higher your premium will be. So the biggest lever every fleet has to control their premiums long term is to control those claims costs. The insurance industry, and this is not just a Flock thing, it'll be a thing that every insurance company thinks about, often thinks about claims costs from two angles, or they talk about two different components. The claims frequency side of things, so how often a fleet has a claim, and the claims severity side of things. So in average, how expensive those claims are. And we'll spend a little bit of time today talking about what fleets can do to try to control both of them. And again, before moving ahead, I'd like to spend a few seconds talking about how Flock can help customers as well. We're very proud that Amazon themselves named us as a value-added service provider by themselves, and we're an approved insurer. So we think that there's a lot of value we can deliver to all fleets in the UK. We try to achieve that via these key features that our product delivers. The first one is that we try to digitize the whole of the customer journey. So you don't have to spend time on the phone, talking to brokers or insurance companies, and you can take full control of your insurance policy. The second is that we offer actionable risk management, and we do that digitally, but also with a team of risk managers we've got, of which Ben is part of. So we'll talk a lot about how those safety review meetings work at Flock and how that can help fleets. We also offer a full digital claims journey. You can, of course, always pick up the phone and call us, but you can also manage your claims online. You can report them online, and you can see where every single claim is, to make sure that you exactly know when that van, that car is being returned to roads. And finally, we want to make sure that we reward those fleets that make the most of our propositions. Our pricing rewards safety. We call it rebates, and we'll talk about what those rebates are later today. So this is what we do from Flock to try to help fleets save money in the long run. But it's not just about us, and it's about how fleets work with it. So let's kick things off and start with the conversation. The first topic I'd like us to open with is the topic of accident frequency, or claims frequency, as we said before. Ben, you spend a lot of time speaking to customers about how drivers can reduce accidents. So can you please talk us through what some of those tactics are?
Of course we can. So in the sessions where I would speak to a customer like Paul, for example, or another DSP, what we want to do is engage them into the risks that they have on the road. Flock's mission as a business is to make the world quantifiably safer, and you get valuable risk insights through our portal. So Antton, if you've got some material you can show us to demo, that would be fantastic. I'll sort of talk us through how we do that. So as we know, the incidents are coming from the drivers on the road. We take a data-driven approach where, through the telematics devices we have in your vehicles, we can give you the data from the incidences on the road. So all of your speeding data that we see. You can get all of the insights into the trips, like you can see on the screen, and you can use the Flock portal to identify this high-risk behavior. And in the sessions, we'll dive deeper into that data in order to ensure that you can understand it and translate that to your drivers. So what we want you to do is use the data to intervene and have conversations with the drivers that are causing the largest risk on the road, not only to the UK public, but also to your business and your drivers and the costs that come as a result of having too many claims. So one thing we look at, for example, is onboarding and the way you train drivers, rather than it just getting bums on seats, how you actually navigate that to assess drivers to ensure that the ones on the road you're comfortable with and they're driving safely to protect your premiums. For example, one problem we see across the Amazon DSP world is hitting parked cars. And often what we see is dangerous maneuvering, but we can correlate that to high speeding on the road. Typically, drivers who are rushing are the ones who are having those accidents. So engaging the fleet managers into using the portal, seeing the data and making those changes is what's going to be crucial for reducing the number of accidents you have whilst working with us.
Thank you, Ben. Callum, you also spend a lot of time with fleets, helping them understand how they could reduce those accidents and the amount of claims they report. How do you do that? Share something that you often give to your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from our perspective at HRIB, one of our biggest sort of ethos or throw around words is prevention rather than cure. And it really comes back down to effective risk management from the top of the business right down to delivery associates. And what you'll find is there's a real sort of connection with these things where it comes down to culture and how directors, on-site managers communicate the importance of incidents and the impact that can have on potential business, their financial performance, and also the viability of it at the end of the day. And what we have at HRIB is really unique. It's an in-house risk management tool, which will not only deal with claims, but more importantly, acts as an analysis method whereby we can work closely with our clients to identify problems at the root cause before any incident actually arises.
Thank you, Callum. But Paul, it's easy for us to talk about this, but the one that actually manages drivers and is thinking about vans issues. So what are the tactics that have worked best for you? And maybe an adjacent question, but how do you incentivize drivers to make sure that they are also taking safety serious?
Yeah, there's various things. The Amazon model, we're going to have 2 periods of the year where we are going to ramp quite aggressively. Prime in July, peak which starts end of October, November. It's all about differentiators. I think when we spoke, I said it's all about setting the bar. Every driver that comes into Panam, we will vet. What we're looking for is experience. It's key. Have you driven a van? Have you worked for DHL? Have you worked for DPD? So we will not go for a bums on seats approach. It's purely based on experience. It gives us a slower ramp. Yes, it does, but it allows us to bring quality in. And I think the quality has been the key as to obviously how we've managed it. We've got lots of data. We use the Flock portal, which will give us the events of speeding, but obviously within the Amazon contract, we've also got the Netrodyne system, which gives us harsh braking, honouring, speeding, stop sign violation. The drivers who actually have no alerts, no offences, but also at the green zone score, which is over 900, they're incentivised every week. So there is a bonus incentive in place for the drivers who hit metrics, but also drive safely as well, which is monitored daily via the portal that we've got. There are other incentives we put in place because at peak we're going to ramp and we're going to add a lot of additional vans. These will be rentals, which will come from the likes of Enterprise, Hertz. There will then be incentives in place for the drivers because these are plain vans with no Netrodyne cameras, with no safety features like the actual Prime Armada vans. We will then incentivize those drivers again at the end of peak if there's been no damage that's occurred as well.
Fantastic. That's not something I knew. So good to hear that you're sharing some of that benefit with drivers as well. The truth is that we can try very, very hard to avoid accidents, but they always happen. So I think it is important for us to talk about how we don't just reduce that claims frequency, as we talked at the beginning, that concept on the left-hand side, but we also try to manage the severity, how expensive claims can become once they happen. One of the most important tactics, or the tactics that can have the biggest impact, is to make sure that claims are reported very, very quickly. And there's a correlation between how quickly a claim is reported and how costly they become. Why is that? And can you share some data about that?
Of course, as we all know, reporting claims to Flock can be an uncertain time. You know, a lot of people want to keep claims off the book, and often they'll try anything to try and sort it themselves, but it can cause delays in actually reporting it to us. At Flock, we ask that all claims are reported within 24 hours, because our data shows if we have a claim that's reported within 24 hours, then we can reduce the cost of the claim by 40% in this time, because we're not overspending on the claim if we don't know about it, because the third party has gone to their insurer, who essentially gets things like repairs and replacement vehicles for their third party at a much higher cost than we do. So to avoid that 40% overspend, which essentially is avoidable, we want to incentivize everyone to report the claim within 24 hours. Now, one of the key things to ensure that our clients have the opportunity to do that is making this a very seamless process. Reporting claims can be timely, getting all of the information from the driver, then going through an accident report form, and then eventually uploading the claim. So in order to give fleets the quickest opportunity to do so, we have a 24/7 online form that you can report claims on. So gone are the days of you having to wait on hold and then report a claim on the phone or spend loads of time writing out an email. You can do a form within 10 to 15 minutes, 24/7, in order to get claims in and save on that 40% overspend that we spoke about before.
Paul, it's easier said than done. How do you report claims, and how do you make sure that your drivers are also working with you to make sure that those claims are reported to you quickly?
Yeah, Antton, it is difficult. I think the key to this is culture, the culture we drive, how we bring drivers into the business, how we onboard them, how we explain the process. I was speaking to a friend of mine a little while ago, and, we spoke about claims, and he actually said, you've got a 30-second window. So from that first impact, I said 2 minutes. Within 30 seconds, we've then got emotion, things are going to get heightened. We make direct contacts to the driver. As soon as there has been an incident, his first call is to the OSM, on-site manager, and this is at the scene. It's not later on, it's not at the end of his shift, it's at the time of event. He will then intervene and make that first contact with third party. He'll get the details, reassure them, empathize with them, because everyone's going to be quite emotional at the time. And their first thoughts are, right, we're going to go to the insurance company. We're going to put a claim in. We need to kind of like flatten that. Let's flatten the line. Let's speak to our insurers first. From that, the driver will then provide a statement. Obviously, when I started working with Callum a couple of years ago, he provided a template, which all our drivers use. That's kept in every van. And what they will then do is take details of weather conditions, road, basic things we're going to need. That'll be sent at the end of his shift. But at the time, while he's on the scene, he will send a statement. So to me, it's all about, I know we talk about 24 hours. I'm talking minutes. So we're talking minutes. And what we found is that as long as you do that intervention and it works within that sort of process, it's fine. You can reduce claims, or you can actually minimise what that claim amount's going to be with credit hire and things like this. But in order to police this, it is purely culture-led. You've got to, it's one of these things where when the driver comes into the business, we will dictate, and I'll use the word dictate, this is how we want it to be done. This is how we're going to control it. And also what that will do for the business regards costs and reducing costs as well.
Sounds like you do a spot-on job. But Callum, besides offering that form that Paul was talking about, what other tips do you offer fleets? And maybe can you talk us about what fleets can do to change that culture, as Paul was talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, when it comes to these claims, time is money. And it's as simple as that. The quicker that an insurer is made aware of an incident, the better the chance they have of controlling the costs. Now, the things that we do with our clients really come around to education. And this really is from educating directors, site managers, and the driving team about the impacts financially and to their livelihoods that a delay in reporting could have. Now, that's not necessarily to say that if someone doesn't report a claim that they're going to lose their job, but more about, well, if they don't report the claim in time, what is potential impact for Panam, as an example? Can they afford to pay the driver a higher rate? Because next year, their insurance cost is going to go up by 20 or 30% just because of one incident alone. So these are all considerations that we really drive. And as Paul said, it's about the culture. We know that in years gone by, drivers have often been quite concerned to report an accident, but actually it's about being transparent with each other and making them aware that we're in this together. So let's make sure that the information is submitted to the insurers effectively, swiftly, and let's get this resolved.
And maybe going off script, but Paul, Callum, what reasons do often drivers give when they don't report claims?
With me, it's fear of job loss. I've had various ones, but the key one always seems to be, I thought I'd lose my job. I thought something would happen, and it's the reassurance. And obviously, we do a briefing every 2 weeks with the drivers as well. And the reassurance to the drivers is, which I've always said, no driver has ever left Panam for reporting damage to a van. It's never happened in 5 years, and we would never do that. And it's about honesty, transparency, but it's fear of what's going to happen. What happens when I come back? And I'm like, no, let's deal with it at the time.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think there's a lot of stuff that's happened in the past where drivers probably haven't had the best confidence, and it's about drawing a line in the sand, as Paul says, where we can all work collectively together to manage these things, because we are humans, we do make mistakes, but if we don't know about these things, then we can't manage it effectively, and that's when it becomes a real problem for the insurers.
Well, we'll keep working on it. Let's move on to the next topic. At Flock, we believe that besides controlling premium, there are many things that can be done to help a fleet spend less time managing their insurance policy. I'm sure that many of you are investing a lot of time lately talking to your broker and thinking about what you can do to keep your insurance costs low. Ben, there are a number of things we do at Flock to help fleets with that. Do you want to run us through it?
Sure. And so I think one of the most simple yet effective things that probably anyone can empathise with that Flock do is how difficult it can be to manage vehicle changes and adjustments to your policy, and how laborious and time consuming it may be to have to send emails on a daily basis, especially in really busy peak times, asking to add and remove vehicles. So we've got a digital product which allows you to do that at the click of a button. Anton, do you want to show us? Excellent. So gone are the days where you will have to do this anymore. Our online portal allows you to make changes to the motor insurance database at the click of a button, not only on your laptop, but also on your mobile phone as well. So the usability of this portal to add and remove vehicles allows you and all of your team to save so much time. So you can just log on, add and remove those vehicles and manage any fluctuations in the fleet. And all of the changes you make will be naturally reflected in an invoice at the end of the month. Vehicles can be added in bulk or removed in bulk, and you can literally just edit cover dates in a matter of a few clicks. Again, this is a huge time saver for fleets, and it allows you to focus on the good stuff and make sure that you manage your policy effectively.
Callum, you've been in insurance for a bit now. You've probably seen how other insurers do this without naming names. But how does this process compare to what you see in the market?
Yeah, I mean, look, the Flock portal is really a great addition for both us as brokers and our customers. It allows them and us to transact just as and when, wherever we are. And it is a fantastic tool. What I would say is, in addition to that, the conventional way, as it has been for the last 30 years of transacting adjustments over the phone or email, is seamless.
Paul, hopefully the Flock product has helped you a little bit, maybe making vehicle addition simpler, maybe in slightly different ways. How have we helped if we have?
We've got the two big events. So the two big events for every Amazon DSP will be peak and prime. So where we can be bringing on potentially 40, 50, 60 vehicles at a time. I think, as Callum said, historically, it was painful. That was a pain point. Something else that I noted actually when we were talking about the Flock products that took many years was when we did have to add and remove vehicles, there was a cost. There was a cost implication to that. On the Flock portal, it's not. It's a case of you can go in, you self-manage, and it does. We're talking minutes. That's how quick it is. So for me, it allows me to do the bits I should be doing, which is managing the business, not speaking to a broker for an hour, 2 hours, filling in spreadsheets, sending spreadsheets across. The other bit as well for me was the claims, obviously reporting the claims, because there's now an AI addition which will actually walk you through the process. So it's asking you all the key questions, which you then upload in. So it's walking you through what information do you require for me to log this claim. And it's time. For me, that's the key to this.
Well, that's great to hear. Callum, we still want Paul to talk to you, so don't worry. But it's good to hear that the portal can save a bit of time and therefore money. But many of you will be thinking, okay, fine, but we'll do all of that stuff and we'll reduce accidents and report quickly and then save a bit of money by not having to key stuff into a system or call someone. But how can I get a good premium, a good quote on my renewals? Look, at Flock, we believe in being as fair as possible. We use all that data that Ben showed us before to try to give you the most competitive quote we can. If you have been managing your speeding properly, we'll take that into account. If we see that your safety scores are improving, we'll also try to take that into account. But we also believe in rewarding those that take safety seriously. Ben, how do we do that?
Anton, I think as a business, when we sat down and constructed this rebates proposition, we all wanted to reward behaviours that directly impact price and good performance as well. And what better way to do it than financially, especially when premiums are going up in the market, as we know. If you don't mind showing us a screenshot, I'd be more than happy to talk us through how the rebates work. But essentially, it is made up of 3 components. And it allows you, as an Amazon DSP, to earn back up to 10% of your policy premium back at the end of the year as a rebate. Now, rebates are made up of three components, as I said. Loss ratio, which in layman's terms is the amount of premium you pay pro rata as against the amount of claims we have on the book. So we want you to incentivize you to keep that amount as low as possible. It's also based on your safety score. So we want you to achieve high safety scores, push you into the low risk category to ensure your drivers are safe on the road. And you also earn rebate back for reporting claims. So the faster you report claims, the more rebate you will earn. Now, the drivers aren't going to pay you back if they don't report claims or they speed everywhere and have accidents that increase your loss ratio. So this rebate really allows you as an Amazon DSP to have an incentive to perform well and negate your price increases by earning money back and then reinvesting it into the business, for example.
You've been with us for a couple of years now. I think you've been on that rebate journey as well. How's it looking? Tell us about your experience of getting and earning this rebate over time.
Yeah. So I've been with you guys now, Antton, for 2 years. Last year, we didn't hit the rebate. And it shows you how volatile this can be. So we had one claim that occurred after 2 months of moving to Flock. That one claim then virtually decimated our entire year. And with Callum, we then put a plan in place, not for 2023, but for 2024. We flattened it out, started the year at 27,000 for one claim, finished the year at 55,000 total end of year, but missed rebate. But there was a lot of learnings there. This year looks slightly different. Present, our loss ratio sits at 5.7%, and we've got 4 months to renewal against a target of 55% to get the rebate. I checked, and our rebate sits at the moment, it's just over £11,000. And last month, I think that increased by £953. So for any business, this is a bottom line profit, straight cash injection. Also, if we're looking at fleet, we're looking at fleet repair, we're looking at cosmetic damage. We want to keep this fleet in tip-top condition. There's a pot there, which if we choose to use it for that, that's exactly where we can actually put those funds to.
Well, always happy to hear positive stories. As you say, there are some years where things don't go to plan, but we like seeing customers here for longevity and make sure that in the long run those costs are controlled. Callum, you spend a lot of time talking to customers about getting competitive prices. I'm sure you've seen many customers that got a rebate, or this that are struggling. What are your tips about this?
I think the first thing to consider is that, yes, price is an important factor, but cheap isn't always cheapest long term. In years gone by, the focus for a lot of DSPs has been based around the bottom line. So short term, cost saving. How can I get this insurance bill as low as possible? The way that the market's moving and the work that we do collectively with our insurance partners, it's really much more of a long-term consideration. So what I'd say to business owners is when you're thinking about your insurance program or what's in front of you here and now, try and think about where that sits you in 3 to 5 years. What is your broker doing, and how is your insurer going to work effectively to help you manage your claims? And importantly, the premiums that you pay, because we don't want to pay more than we need to. And from a broker perspective, I'd love to tell you that you've got a 10% rebate and we're giving you a 5% reduction.
Fantastic. Thank you. And look, with this, we're slowly going to make it to the end of the webinar today. Hopefully it was sweet and punchy. At Flock, we believe in making the world quantifiably safer. That's our mission. So we're not here just to insure a bunch of vehicles. We believe in making our roads safer. And we think that is the best way of helping fleets save money in the long run as well. So hopefully you can join us. You can join us by talking to your broker, and we work with a number of them. You can talk to us directly, and we'll probably put you in touch with one of them as well. Or you can reach out to any of us. We're all on LinkedIn and relatively active, so please do so. Ben, Paul, Callum, on that topic of making the world quantifiably safer, what else can we tell DSPs that could help them reduce accidents and reduce those claim costs? Any further ideas, Ben?
I think from my experience, having worked with so many DSPs over the last year, I think Paul alluded to it before, but director involvement is really crucial. When it comes from the top, when the culture is from the top down, it's your money, it's your business, it's your insurance policy. That level of ownership and management and the engagement in the sessions like Paul and Cal have done have really helped customers improve their costs in terms of insurance, but also the cost that we don't see. So how much do you spend outside of that on damages, on your own vehicles, on replacements? And what we want to do is give you these data-driven insights to help you drill down all costs in the business. And we look forward to hopefully working with you in the future.
Paul.
Partnership. I think historically, and I think a lot of DSPs will probably feel this, it always felt that we would renew, say, in January, and then you never spoke to anybody, or the only time we spoke to anybody was when it was bad news. So I'd be calling Flock, say, right, we've got another claim. Never spoke to the broker, no conversation. With Flock, it's different. It's extremely different. I think the interactions that I have with Ben on a quarter and also with Callum as well give me an absolute overview as to what we're doing right, but also what we're doing wrong, what every single claim is at, what position it's at, what stage. And there is never any grey for me. It's a case of we'll go for every single claim, and Ben will have detail behind the back of it as to, why it's still sat, why it hasn't moved, what needs to be done. But also we then look at the safety piece as well, which I'm kind of like, I'm super focused on, because in Amazon, it's a big part of the business. It is very data driven. We get lots and lots of driver data, so we're constantly looking at it. But this is an additional layer to go on top. So to me, you've got to make sure this is a partnership. It's not, I'll speak to you in 12 months, which is, Flock is not that. It's not. It's a continual process.
Thank you. Callum, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think to tie up what Ben has said and both Paul as well is really around communication, and that's to communicate with your broker, to communicate with your drivers, your insurer, because we're all working towards the same cause, and that is fundamentally to ensure that your fleet runs safely, cost effectively, no one's hurt along the way, your drivers can earn their money and get paid, and Paul can make himself a ton of money at the same time.
Fantastic. So Ben, Paul, Callum, thanks for being here. Everybody else that made a little bit of time from your very, very busy days to watch this, thanks so much. As Callum just mentioned, communication is important. We're here to help. So please reach out and we'll happy to help in any form we can. Thank you.